PJ Fenue is a real estate agent in northern New Jersey who specializes in helping clients buy and sell both single family and investment properties. In this interview, PJ will be sharing how Key Technology Solutions has helped streamline his CRM with proven action plans and automated systems. I'm very excited to hear PJ's perspective and the impact it has made. So, PJ, thank you for joining me for this interview. And to start off this conversation, I really love to ask these first few questions just to get to know you a little bit better and for the viewers to learn a little bit more about you. How did you initially join the real estate industry?
So I joined the real estate industry about 5 years ago, right before COVID. Um, I used to work for an attorney. We did a lot of real estate transactions, and I always loved that aspect of it. So when she was getting ready to retire and move on to something else, I decided to jump full force into it and see what it was all about.
And whenever you joined the real estate industry, you just shared a little bit of it, but how did you get your first deal? Where did it come from?
So I got my first deal from Sphere of Influence. Um, that's definitely helped launch my career a little bit. And it was most my business always came from sellers because that was what I kind of specialize in is sellers, and I do a lot of postcards and letters and stuff like that, and that's kind of how that all started.
And when you say sphere of influence, did you just randomly email your entire sphere and let them know you're now a real estate agent? Did you tell them in person? How did that come about?
So I told them in person. I tried making some phone calls, text messages, handwritten letters, and note cards were the best option. Some of them I did little gift cards or like little scratch off lottery tickets, which was, I think, kind of the best way to jump right into it.
Yeah, my lender still to this day does that every now and then. Will mail me scratch off lottery ticket just for
Yeah, I do
fun,
it for like
and
the
I always have
holidays.
that false hope.
Yeah.
That's fun. So you said about 5 years ago you joined the real estate industry. How much would you say that your career has changed from then to now?
This year is going to be a groundbreaking year. So now that I have the systems in place that I never had in place before, leads aren't getting lost. Follow up is happening a lot more often. We're constantly touching previous and past leads. Um, you know, Previously I never had the systems in place. I was always losing stuff. People would call you, you talk to them, you kind of forget about them. They never made it into the CRM. So now I kind of have systems and processes. When leads come in, I have an SOP where they go into the database, they get set up on drip campaigns, text messages, emails.
That's good. What do you, I guess the question is, who do you have to help you support your business besides yourself, if anyone?
So most of it's done myself. I do have Ylobo that has some AI texting built into it. I also have, a virtual assistant as well that does a lot of support staff in the back end and marketing stuff, but most of it's done by me. And the systems and follow-up lists that you guys set up for me definitely make my day a lot easier so I know who to call, who to text, who to email, and who to kind of reach out to.
Who trained your virtual assistant? Was it just you?
I did, yeah.
And what kinds of tasks does your virtual assistant do for you?
Oh, she takes a lot of beatings. She basically handles everything between, sending out some emails into the CRM, some text messages. She will, um, set some, not set appointments, but put stuff in the calendars and follow up with us so I don't forget, or it sends them an automatic text message. Video editing, social media posting. So kind of like all the back end stuff of our business.
Yeah. Where did you find the virtual assistant out of curiosity? Did you go through a company or just find her yourself?
I did go through a company, and then I also hired one myself as well. Kind of like
Okay.
Facebook groups and stuff like that.
Yeah. So your first deal came from Sphere of Influence, and then you mentioned Ylobo. Today, how does your incoming business look like? How is it split? Is it split evenly between Sphere and online leads? Does it lean heavily one way or another?
So recently, a lot of it has been coming from the database. Um, Ever since that's kind of been getting organized, previous Facebook leads, online leads, um, postcard letter instance, leads that signed up for home evaluations that got funneled into the system. Um, so it's kind of a mix of everything nowadays. Social media is starting to really pick up as well. Um, I don't do cold calling, it's just not my personality, but a lot of it comes from fear, social media, and networking.
Yeah. And you said previous leads. So how old are we talking from previous leads?
So surprisingly, I did have my old leads from old ads from years ago. So there are some leads that are about 4 years old, 3 years old. I finally just closed a Facebook lead that never answered the phone in 4 years, text messages or emails. She was always on drip campaigns and getting property alerts. And one day she just called me out of the blue and she's like, help me find a house.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's proof that you shouldn't give up and just keep emailing and keep trying. That's really cool that she proactively called you.
Yeah.
You don't hear that very often.
And I think I'm starting to see that more often with the systems in place. Years ago I just used to follow up one, two, three times and that's what everybody does. But I really learned that it takes 10, 15, sometimes 30 attempts, if not more. And it's not just texting or emailing, it's email and texting, calling, video messages. And you can't send them at the same time. You got to do them all at different hours of the day too, was what I really learned.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you mentioned postcards. Are you sending and creating those yourself? Is your assistant doing that, or are you using a company?
Um, I do most of them. Um, Myself. I kind of do like every door direct, or sometimes I will use some of the online companies that just mail them for you, depending what it is. If I'm doing 100 or something for a new listing, I might just use an online company instead of doing them, by hand.
Yeah. And then you mentioned social media. When you say social media, is that just on organic posting you're doing that's starting to get traction? Or what
So
did
I
you
cut
mean?
back on ads a lot lately because I just feel like the conversion and the leads were getting more expensive. So a lot of the stuff is organic now with people getting opt into emails, giving away some free guides and stuff like that. And people just, if they're in my database, I try and search them up sometimes on social media, give them a little bit of a follow so they can kind of, see what I'm posting because then it kind of makes that credibility as well. So they're seeing you on social media, they're seeing on, maybe a retargeting ad, they're seeing you physically in their mailbox. So they're kind of getting hit by all different aspects.
What platforms are you currently posting on?
Right now is Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I just started TikTok. It seems like TikTok's a little bit easier for getting views and stuff like that. So I think TikTok's probably going to be a little more successful than some of the others.
Cool. So besides social media and postcards and Filopo, what technology are you using to support you?
So I have Trello that I use to make sure my assistant has all her tasks organized. I have my stuff organized. Um, I use the notes app in my phone. That's usually really, really helpful. Um, sometimes the old-fashioned sticky notes all over the desk still works.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't have a crazy tech stack. I like to keep things simple and not too crazy because I learned I get overwhelmed too quickly and then I shut down and nothing gets done.
Do you prefer pen and paper, notepad, or do you like those electronic notepads or
I like
iPads?
pen and paper, and then if it's a client, I'll usually scan the notes in and put it right into the follow-up boss as like a file, or I'll have my assistant type it in. Um, the electronic notepads, they don't always work for me. I forget to
Yeah,
hit save or I delete it by accident. And
yeah. I feel you. Mine started glitching after 6 months and I had to throw it out. So I feel you.
or the stylus breaks or something like that, and it's just like, oh
Yeah,
boy.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about your CRM follow-up boss. How did you decide to start using that as your main CRM?
So my company does provide a CRM Lofty. Um, it's got too much going on in it. It's very easy to lose stuff. I wasn't getting notifications all the time when text messages were coming back, so I knew there had to be something better out there. Um, tried Follow Up Boss when I first started. Didn't really know what I was doing because when you get into real estate, nobody tells you about a CRM, why it's so important, what it's all about, or how to use it. So I really did it for a few weeks. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's not helping me. And then, I started researching different CRMs. I kept coming up with Follow Up Boss. So, it's a little more expensive than some of the other ones, but I think it has the best integrations, the best email send outs. You got reminders, you got the files where you can upload files, pre-approval letters, old documents. Um, and it has a lot of different integrations as well.
And how long have you been using Follow Boss?
So consistently, I've been using it for about a year now. I've had Follow Up Boss for about 2.5, 3 years now. But the last year, and more importantly, the last 6 months after the Key Technology kind of went in and did their magic, it's been getting a lot used every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, constantly putting notes in, reminders, and stuff like that as well.
How did you find out originally about Key Technology?
So I was in the Follow Up Boss Facebook community, and I kept seeing you guys pop up. And I think I started Googling you. I watched some of the YouTube videos as well. So, then I had a meeting with somebody from your team, not exactly who, can't remember, it was a little while ago. Um, but the pricing was great, the proven stats that they had, they answered all my questions. I think we even had a follow-up meeting as well when I had some more additional questions, and I decided to sign up because I
Yeah.
knew that the the drip campaigns I did myself were not working. Open rates were horrible. Emails were not sending out correctly. There was always a glitch or something. It just wasn't the best.
Yeah. So then compared to what it was originally when you set it up yourself, fast forwarded to June 2025, what differences do you see?
So it's basically night and day. Emails rates are a lot better than what they were. I'm actually getting replies back. Hey, can I get more information, where I wasn't getting those from my emails that I created or other templates that I bought. Um, I went from probably 1 in 20 people opening an email to, you know, 3 out of 10 actually responding to the emails that were going out.
That's incredible to hear. And whenever people are responding, what's your typical strategy? Do you just respond back via email? Do you also call them? What's your typical cadence there?
So usually if they email back, I will usually email as quickly as possible. And then sometimes I'll ask, what's your preferred method of communication, whether it's email, text, phone call, Zoom call, stuff like that. And, I try to get what their preferred method is because I don't want to send them a million emails if they're already getting 1,000 emails from other people. So if they prefer text messaging, if that's easier to get a hold of them, then that's probably the best.
Yeah, definitely. So, PJ, as we wrap up this conversation, a question that's a bit off topic. I'd love to hear of one strategy that you've implemented in your business that's had some type of impact towards your growth. Doesn't have to be specific to technology or follow up boss even, just something that's had an impact, whether it's your lead management, client retention, or business growth. What's something
So
you
I
can
would
think
say
of?
the biggest impact is definitely consistency. When everybody's talking about, oh, you got to be consistent, but what does consistent mean? Like, you can read a million times, but nobody tells you or teaches you what it is. I got consistent with social media posting, social media videos. I got consistent in my CRM. Like I told you, we're in here about 3 times a day, sending emails, text messages, phone calls. I did it once, maybe once a month or once a week, and I wasn't getting the response rate, or I wasn't growing my business because within a month, somebody already moved on and picked another agent. So consistency definitely played a key part in my business. Constantly reaching out, going through my smart list that Key Technology built out onto the Follow Up Boss. So now I go through 1 through 13 every day, every morning. See who's been on the website, who's been reaching out, who needs a follow up, who needs some properties. And then I have some other smart lists in there as well. that I check out daily.
How do you decide which actions to keep doing consistently and which ones to remove and which ones to add? So, besides your actions in the CRM, you mentioned social media videos and content. When and how do you decide this content that I'm creating is not worth my time, or this platform is not worth my time, or even beyond social media?
So social media is definitely for the long game. You're not gonna do one video and get a million clients. Nothing's gonna be that easy. It definitely is gonna take about 6 to 9 months of constantly daily video posting, stuff like that, to really actually see, leads trickle down the funnel. So social media, I'm never gonna give it up because I know that's where the business is going. Um, I've gave up cold calling because it wasn't for me. It just, it's cost, prohibited where I'm sitting on the phone for 2 hours where I can be doing videos every day or interacting on Facebook groups and, other technology that's a little bit more my personality. So, stuff like that's really helpful.
Where do you get the inspiration whenever you're creating content?
I look up hashtags, see what's trending audios, kind of see what the current trends are going. ChatGPT, best friend here, definitely helps with content calendars. Um, my assistant sometimes will be like, "Hey, I seen this video from an agent in a different country, but you should definitely give this a shot." And, sometimes I always say I have out of the box wacky ideas that are a little batshit crazy and usually work.
I love it. Well, PJ, thank you for your time and thank you for that awesome tip at the very end of the video. I think people will find this very helpful. So I appreciate your time today.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what Keys Technology has done for my business as well. We definitely have seen a lot of growth since we started and actually using a CRM the way you're supposed to.
That's so great to hear.